Hello from Skiathos, the Greek island where we're exploring the relationship between landscape, soulscape, and a creative life. In this episode, we'll be exploring the benefits of living with an attitude of thankfulness. In a world that's always trying to persuade us that we need more, the newest phone, more likes on social media, more progress in our personal and emotional development, thankfulness turns that on its head and says, I have enough. Thank you. It's a quietly radical way to live in a status-obsessed culture and enables us to unfurl gently into the world to truly be our full and authentic selves, unburdened by the pressures and voices that are telling us to be better, to have more, to aim higher. I'll give you some ideas for how this might work practically in your daily life, as it can be a simple and straightforward way into the mindfulness practice. And that doesn't have to be lengthy and involved, but also opens up possibilities for wonderfully rich and loving pathways if you want to take that practice a bit deeper. So if you're feeling a little overwhelmed by these forces that are trying to push you forward, to urge you to be more successful, to have more, and never really truly feeling satisfied, let's explore a gentler and more fruitful way together. In this video, I'm going to tell you an ancient story from Ireland and then the not so ancient story behind this painting, and give you a couple of practical ways that will enable you to enrich your life with an attitude of thankfulness. One quick and easy, and another one that will take a little bit more time, but will take you deeper into the practice. So here we go. If you're sitting there frustrated because of the things you haven't got or the goals you haven't achieved, I'll show you how thankfulness can change your life. One of my favourite saints goes by the unlikely name of Saint Kevin. He lived around the 6th century in Glendalough in Ireland, a beautiful place whose name means Valley of the Two Lakes. I'd really recommend visiting. Kevin loved spending time alone in the forest in prayer and meditation, and lived mostly as a hermit, although ended up founding a monastery in the valley as so many people would seek him out for his wisdom. A number of legends and stories grew up around his life. One of them tells of the time he was at prayer out in the forest with his arms outstretched in stillness, and a blackbird landed on him and laid her eggs in his open palm. Being a gentle soul attuned with the rhythms of the life of the land, Kevin held that pose of prayer with his hand outstretched for the blackbird to tend to her eggs, and he waited until they hatched and the young birds took flight. Now, this story holds many meanings, not least how the stance of waiting, stillness, and a gentle presence can call out the new life latent in the world around us that would flee timid and scared if we tried to be more active and goal-focused. But in terms of thankfulness and gift, it's the stance of the open hand that's important. The hand that grasps, that curls into a tight grip or a fist, can't give anything. It wants to cling, to acquire. It has an insatiable hunger that can never be satisfied. It's a posture that the advertising industry encourages and depends on us for us to long to get more and more stuff and never be satisfied. But the thing about the clenched hand, not only does it take a huge amount of energy for us to maintain that grip, it also means that we are never able to truly receive anything. That serendipitous blackbird could never have found a safe sanctuary for a nest on a clenched fist. Conversely, with the open palm, yes, of course, what we're holding may be taken from us, but also when the time comes for us to receive, we're open to accepting all that is seeking us out. An attitude of thankfulness and gift have this beautiful symbiotic relationship entwined with each other. Gratitude says, thank you for what I have, and in saying thank you, we open ourselves up to receiving what we need. Now, we need to be careful here because the dogmatic stance that we always need to be thankful is used in some very abusive ways. Forcing someone to say thank you, guilt-tripping someone into performing gratitude is a pernicious manipulation tactic that has been used to maintain exploitative power structures for millennia, from rich churches to over-controlling parents. The command to be grateful for what you have is used to conjure up shame and so keep control over people who the powers that be deem to be in danger of rising up above their station and challenging the status quo. So there's no place for anyone telling someone else that they should be grateful. This is not what I'm doing here. If what I'm saying doesn't resonate for you and you feel that there's nothing for you to be thankful for, then I don't want to dictate your story for you. What I am suggesting is to open up space for the possibility that thankfulness can and will rise up in you from that deep heart and soul space, not at all imposed on you by someone else. If you're not in that place, then there's no guilt or shame in that. Often, when I'm working alongside people offering accompaniment on their soul journey, the invitation is simply to allow whatever is present in our inner world to be just as it is, without judgment. And if what is present is a sense that we have nothing to be thankful for, or even a resistance to the possibility of gratitude, then let us be kind and allow that to be just as it is. This painting reflects on an experience I had in a forest creek not far from one of the little monasteries on the island here. It's a place in the woodland where a freshwater spring bursts out of a rock and flows down to join another stream in the forest. I sat at the confluence of the two flows of water during the springtime, just after some rain, so the water was flowing fast and pure. Now, I'm no St. Kevin, so I could only manage a couple of hours, not the weeks it took for him to hold the warm blackbird's eggs. But I did take some time there meditating with and listening to the landscape in the same way that I've described in previous videos. I sat with bare feet by the water and my eyes closed. And when I opened them and looked down, my foot was covered with mosquitoes. It was like a pincushion, all of them eager for my blood. The wild spaces are not always romantic and gentle. They can be sharp, dirty, and harsh. Fortunately, the mosquitoes were a mild, if very itchy, inconvenience, and so I sat down in the cool waters to soothe them and to keep the mosquitoes away. As I closed my eyes again, with the stream flowing all around my body, I took my journal and began to write, as if being spoken to directly by the spirits of the forest there. And I wrote of 7 angels, each with an invocation that would take me deeper into the wise teachings of the island. This is the first part of what I wrote. Behold the 7 angels of the waters, who dwell at the confluence of the springs, in water as cool as stone, where the holm oak splits rock with the ancient girth of his swelling root. The first draws blood from your foot, festooned with mosquitoes. Offer this gift without complaint, and your life stream enters the woven strands of forest creatures that revel and feast upon each other. I may talk about the other 6 angels at a later date, but this is the idea that pertains to our exploration of gift and thankfulness. In giving the gift of my blood to the mosquitoes, I'd entered into the complex web of life of the forest. Most of those insects would be eaten by birds, bats, or spiders, or any of the crawling things in dark places, which in turn would be preyed upon or die and return to the rich soil to nurture the life of the plants and trees all around. So the nourishment from my blood was part of the food chain, taking my place in the vibrant network of life. Gratitude and gift is an acknowledgement that we do not and cannot exist alone, however much we may want to at times. We're interdependent on each other, on the living beings and landscapes all around us. To cut ourselves off from all of that is to wither away and die. To give a gift, thankfully, acknowledges that interdependence, whether it's baking a cake for a friend, or saying thank you, or giving our dog a treat and a rub on our tummy, or indeed letting the mosquitoes suck my blood with only a little complaint. Indeed, those moments of thankfulness can be like little meditative moments that bring us back to a peaceful center when we're feeling overwhelmed with too much bombarding our senses, vying for our attention, or maybe feeling lost and despondent. If we take a moment to intentionally seek out something that we're thankful for, then that can be like a little window of light on a grey day. Sitting at your desk in the office perhaps, and you see the clouds sailing by outside the window, just to take a moment to recalibrate and allow them to nurture a moment of thankfulness and joy as you see them swirling so high and free. Or noticing the way a shadow falls across the pavement, or looking up in the city at the architecture, colours and shapes we wouldn't have noticed if we'd just kept our eyes on the path ahead or glued to our phone. The more we do this, the more we open up little moments of gratitude in our day. We open ourselves up to the possibilities not only to give thankfully, but also to receive things we would never have realised were being offered to us if we hadn't opened up our hands and heart like St. Kevin in the forest. And also, if you were able to take a little moment to like and subscribe to this channel, that would be wonderful. It helps me as I offer these little gifts out into the world. So thank you to you as well for watching and listening. Here's another simple practice that may help us get a feel for what it means to offer thankfulness in this way. For a while now, across the island, I've been seeking out hidden places, little sacred niches where I find connection and life. And I've begun to offer gifts there. For example, there's a sea cave at one of the more remote beaches on Skiathos. It's hard to see from the shore, but if you swim out around the rocks, you can see the light glinting turquoise from the water inside. It's a place of power and wonder. And I took some time gathering materials from the beach and crafting a sculpture as an offering of thanks to the place. It took some time and effort, and the piece I made would have been happy to be shown in a gallery, but the only ones who would see this work are the rocky cliffs and the sea and maybe an occasional crab who wandered by. I swam out to the cave and crawled out over the sharp rocks and placed it in the damp darkness of the furthest recess of the cave. A little thank you offering that will remain there until the cliffs collapse, I suppose, or until it breaks down and fades away, to be seen by no one but the spirits of the rocks and the sea. And now, when I tune into it, I can always feel that connection with that wonderful place. Why not try something similar with a place that holds life and meaning for you? Perhaps where something significant happened or somewhere you always feel at peace. Take some time to craft something as a gift. You may want to make something physical. And if you do, make sure you use materials that are safe for the environment. I tend to use objects and materials I find in that place so that I'm not having a negative impact on the ecosystem. Or maybe write a poem or simply some words of gratitude and thanks that you can read out and speak to the place. Make some food and take it there. Have a picnic and eat your share, but also offer a share to the land. Do it with a spirit of thankfulness and generosity. It's the stance of the open palm, like St. Kevin out in the forest. He was surprised by the blackbird that came to nest in his hand. And we may well be surprised at what emerges when we engage with a place, not to acquire and grasp something with a tight fist, but with a gentle and generous offering of ourselves. A whispered thank you that stays quiet and hidden, only to be seen and heard by us and by the soul of the place we're resting in. Now, I'd be really interested to hear of your experiences with thankfulness. Is it something that comes easy to you or something that you struggle with? And I know for me, I often need to prompt myself to tune into this particular way of being. And if you have any other stories of the gifts you offer to landscapes that hold meaning to you, then do comment and share your experience. And as you explore these things, if a one-to-one video call will be helpful, I've got over 15 years of experience accompanying people on their spiritual journeys, so drop me a message and we can discuss what might work for you in your life. Also, if you're interested in having your personal story and experience expressed in a piece of art, a soul portrait, then I'd be really happy to work with you. Soul portraits are a way to discover the art of your deepest self that grows from me gently listening to your story, and I create them in dialogue with you. When people ask me to make a soul portrait for them, we work together to create a unique artwork, maybe a painting like this, or a beautiful object or sculpture, whatever will be helpful to you. Now, if that's something that interests you, drop me a message. So, thank you for listening. I hope you have a peaceful and gentle day. And I'll be here again next week for more journeys with art, soul, and landscape. Lots of love.